and welcome to Amethyst Star Crafting. My name is Jane Allmark and I'm a UK independent Stampin' Up demonstrator. And we are in our series of Christmas gift ideas, little stocking stuffers, little ideas. And today we're going to be doing these rather sweet little boxes. They can hold treats, they can hold little candles, and they've got this rather nice sort of pretty little sort of flower piece at the top. There's no gluing on this top piece, so it can open and close. And I've chosen the brightly gleaming papers because I love the copper foiling on those. And they do undo. So let me just take the little pieces off like this. So you can you can open them up. And inside these ones, I've got some of the really lovely little lint mini truffles. And you can fit, what have I got in here? I've got 9 in there. So you can fit a reasonable amount in there. And literally, they just go together quite easily. Let me make sure I've got it the right way. I always get this. Do it cockeyed, don't I? That one on there. Okay, so when you've got your, do it that way, yes, so when you've got your cross piece, this just tucks in there, that little one tucks in on there, that little one tucks in on, hold those like that, that one's going to tuck in underneath there, and they literally just close in together quite neatly. That one's going to go in on the last one, just in under on this bit. So they close in quite neatly, and as I say, form this really pretty little flower. So it's not an original idea. There's quite a few of them, so I don't know who to give credit for, but I thought that they would be quite fun to do. So, scoreboard, and we need a piece of, just make sure I'm in. Yes, I am. You need a piece of designer series paper or pattern paper, any paper you want. And it needs to measure 7 inches by 3 3/4 inches. So on the 7-inch side, very easily, we're going to score it every 1 inch. So we'll score it at 1 inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, 4 inch, 5 inch and 6 inches. Then turn it round and you are going to score it at 7/8 of an inch. So that's one little mark underneath the 1 inch. So 7/8 of an inch. And then you're going to score it at 2 1/8. So one little mark over the 2 inch mark. And we're going to score it down on there. And that's all the scoring that we need. Now, I've just thought this is probably really difficult paper to do this with because it's very sort of patterned. But we are then going to burnish on all of our score lines with designer series paper, pattern paper that is very detailed like this. You need to be just a little bit cautious with your burnishing. You know, treat it delicately because you can see you've got all of this gold or copper foiling going on here. And if you press too hard, you run the risk of it cracking a bit. So I just do it very gently. Just going to take it right the way across, and you can see I'm just doing it quite gently. If you think that you're going to be a bit heavy-handed, just do it with your fingers, because as I say, paper will designer series paper, it does make it a little difficult. Okay, so we now have some shorter line, and we've got a larger one. Okay, so I hope you can see that. So with the larger one at the top, we are going to just cut along all of the smaller ones up to that first score line. So let me see if I can see this with my eyes. Whee! Choosing very, very difficult paper to see where those score lines are. But it is such gorgeous paper. I love shiny, shimmery paper at Christmas time. Or for any other time of year, you know, it's nice to, some of these papers, you know, could go for all times of year. So we've now done all of these ones on the bottom. And then on the top, what we are going to do is we are going to cut from one corner up to the corner of that score line. So we're going to take the first one and we're literally just going to cut on the diagonal up to that corner. Then we're going to do the same thing. So where the corner is, you're literally going to cut in a diagonal up to the corner. If you tuck each one in as you go, it makes it just a little bit easier. So from that corner up to the corner. And you're just going to work your way across all the way through. I expect I'm getting quite a shine on this paper. I'm certainly nearly blinding myself with it. Just shows how beautiful this this copper foiling is, but it does make it absolutely beautiful. Okay, and then the last one, you're going to do exactly the same from that corner, and that piece is going to come off. Okay, so we're going to go to the other end, and you can see you've got one piece which isn't in this sort of triangle piece. So we're going to take both of those pieces off because that's going to be our flap for putting it together. So we're just going to cut this piece off, and we're going to cut that piece off at the end. So the two square pieces, just make sure that's just cut through. There we go. So we then have it looking like that. So you've got that piece off and you've got all of these pieces at this funny sort of angle. Now what we're going to do is we are going to, you can see that they naturally fold back on each other quite neatly. Just making sure that I've cut it right up to that score line. So each one of these will fold back on itself. Just need to make sure I've just got it up to the score line on here because I was doing it with my lights and it's sometimes not the easiest to be able to see. So this is where I can just make sure that I've got it. Okay, so each one of these we need to fold back on itself, and we need to then glue each one of these pieces together. Now you can use glue dots. I tend to be, as I say, as frugal as I can, so I will use a bit of wet glue, and you need to just put it through in on here. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue on the inside of each one of these little pieces. Make sure that you don't put too much glue all the way up because it literally only comes to a little bit of a point. So just sort of down at the bottom. And then you're going to fold each one of these back onto their score line and just make sure that they've glued. You could use a tiny bit of snail if you wanted to. But as I say, I use my wet glue for everything, so I've always got my wet glue on hand. And you will find that you need to just, because it is wet glue, you need to just hold it just down for a minute. So I'm just going to make sure that I've got that held down, and it's just glued on quite nicely. There we go. Okay, so you've now got all of those little pieces on like that, with that funny sort of little flag piece. So we are going to glue it together. So this is going to be our flap. So we need to just put some wet glue in on here. And then it will fold completely flat on there, which is quite nice, that you can make sure that you've got, you know that it's going to be equal distance. You can just fold that in, and what I tend to do is to then fold it flat on itself to just make sure that I've got that without getting my little pieces in there. Oh. Got one that's already sort of trying to stick itself to each other. Okay, so we've now got that piece. I was going to just fold it flat. I can't even find out. There it is. So I'm just going to make sure that that is sealed on nicely. Now we're going to work on the bottom first. Now, because this is a hexagon, whoops, make sure that that's glued back on itself. Some of these might need just a tad more glue just on there. Hopefully by the time we get round to doing it, they will have stuck on. So we're going to turn it upside down. Now, because it's still quite flimsy, you need to really put something in here to just give it a little bit of stability to keep its shape. And I found that our little this is a embossing powder, the white embossing powder, fits literally perfectly inside there, and it's exactly the right height. If you haven't got that, try and find something that is the right sort of size. Some of the little what do you call them, the candles, tea lights, they're the right sort of size. And we are going to, because you can see by doing that you will get your perfect hexagon, because you want it to not sort of be the wrong sort of size or shape. Now, if you put just a tiny little bit of glue in on the corners, you can put some so that corner on there, so literally just in your corners before you actually fold it. So I'm just putting a tiny, you could put a glue dot again if you wanted to. That's in on there, and then we'll work out the last one before we do it. So I'm just doing it quite lightly to start off with. So you just fold each piece in, and then your last piece is going to go over and under. So you need a little bit of glue on that bit, and we'll have a little bit, hopefully that will just stick it as it is. So the last piece, as you the same as if you're doing a box, so tuck the last piece just in underneath a little bit, and then you are going to put it down, and as you're putting it down, make sure that it is as straight as you can get it. So that's why I say the wet glue is quite good, because it allows you to just give a little bit of wiggle room on there, and you have a perfect hexagon on there. And I really like the bottom shape of that. So that's our bottom piece. We can then take this piece out because we don't need this one in there, so we can just gently take our little pot out, but it just gives that little bit of stability. And then you've got that lovely shape on the inside. If you don't like the shape very much, you can always just put a little circle or something in on there, but I actually really like the patterning of it. I think it looks absolutely beautiful. Okay, so then you can put your treats or whatever inside. I'm not putting anything in this one at the moment because I will decide on it later on. And then you are going to fold one over the other, and you will, if you fold them across, you will get a little triangle piece in on here. So the next one has to go in onto that triangle and hold it. The next one just tucks in onto that triangle, so underneath like this. The next one goes in just like that, again onto where the triangle piece is, and the last one exactly the same, just tuck it in underneath. And you've then got your little piece at the top. Oops. And then you've got your lovely little little box that comes through like that. And let me get the other ones out. They say they make, that's actually quite a nice pattern on the top. I need to just tuck that one in on the other bit. I'll turn it round a bit so I haven't got that little piece showing, because depending how you fold it in on itself, you can get those pieces showing or not. So let me just do that one again, and then I can do it so that that piece is, it's that one, isn't it? So we want this one just tucked in. Tuck that one in underneath, and then that gives quite a nice bit of a pattern. That one in underneath there. I should do it again, which I'm like for fiddling. It'll give you an idea of how you can do it again as well. So you take one and you cross it over on the other so it comes to there. Then that one comes in and covers those. That one comes in and covers that one. This one comes in and covers that one. And the last one comes in, which is where I got it wrong the last time, comes in and covers over on this one, like that. There we go. So now you've got a really lovely pattern in here, and it gives, I quite like that pattern on there. I didn't know it would work out like that, but you've got that really nice pattern in on the top and a lovely pretty little box. So I hope you'll give it a go. It is very simple to do, and you can fill them with all sorts of bits and pieces. Makes another nice little sort of stocking craft fair idea, little Christmas idea, or just a little gift to give to people at different times of years. And as I say, fill them with truffles or any other little treats that you want to, but they make lovely little presents. So thank you so much for watching me. Look forward to seeing you for the next one in the series. Bye bye.